So what the heart wants, right? Matthew chapter 6, Jesus. So let's quote some Jesus here.
But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in or steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also.
Interesting. Is this true? Is this true that heart follows treasure? Well,
or treasure follows heart.
No, actually, where your treasure is, your heart's going to be also.
True. Yeah, okay.
So I've heard this put it this way, where people like invest in the stock market or certain, maybe a single stock or whatever. All of a sudden, they didn't care. They never followed it before. But all of a sudden, it's like, oh, every day I had to look. What's it doing? What's it doing? You know? Yeah. Or they buy their first home or maybe an investment property. What's the equity doing? What's going on here? As a kid, the old passbook savings account, is it getting, how much interest did I get back in the days when there was such a thing as earning interest? Or a team that's into cars and so forth. Whatever it was that somebody had invested in, really invested in. And again, it doesn't have to be only money, but their heart was in it. It's football season, fantasy football, fantasy sports and so forth. You see individuals that they don't care about this guy until they put money on it. Mm-hmm. And so when it comes to this treasure, heart following treasure, it's all about the heart. So you ask yourself, and I ask myself, does God have my heart? And
follow the money.
How might I know? And the numbers don't lie, do they? Mm-hmm. Given what Jesus said about the heart moving toward treasure, how much time and resource do I invest in what matters most to God? Mm-hmm. That's the simple. And again, not just money, it's time. And that's where, if you keep sort of a record of your time, but the same thing being true, how much do you treasure the kingdom of God? Well, from a practical perspective, one chief way is check out your bank statements. Check out, check out your tax returns and your charitable deductions. That will tell the story. Mm-hmm. And again, this is not to guilt anybody. It's just a fact. Jesus said this not because he needs money, but he wants our hearts.
We always have to look at our heart.
So why did God call for generosity and giving when he didn't need anything? God didn't need us to float him alone. What's the big deal? Well, number one, God's very nature is generous, okay? And it's expressed by his giving, and we're called to imitate our Father. Okay, God so loved the world that he gave. Okay, he's the Father of lights, in whom there's no variation or shadow of turning, gives us all things richly to enjoy. 1 Timothy 6 and James chapter 1. Number two, giving is a way that God lets us experience transcendent joy. We know it's better to give than receive. That's why maturity, you see it when people go from childhood to adulthood, when they like Christmas more for the reaction of people getting their gifts than, oh, good, I got this. Mm-hmm. So it is a way of tapping into joy that we couldn't otherwise. And then finally, number three, giving is the main way in which God provides for us to rise above greed, coveting, and selfishness. Mm-hmm. It really is, because, and you say, well, I don't know if we battle that. How many parents, regardless of their religious beliefs, train their children not to be selfish? Right. All of them, because that's the way it is. Selfish hearts can be mad, stubborn, resentful. They can be reluctant, grieving, fearful. But those with generous hearts are just like, you know what? Hey, I'm not giving tip money here. I love God. I love the kingdom of God. So in a world of greed, selfishness, and the fear of not having enough, generous hearts will often appear ridiculous, radical, or even rebellious to some. They're like, how can you give to this, that, or the other? And it's like, what do you give to?